Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello, and welcome to Mary versus the Movies with your host, Mary Jones.
And Dennis Link.
And your glasses hit the...
Sorry. I was so excited.
Well, you should be excited because we are now entering round 2 of our cage match. It is episode 60, and we are watching Vampire's Kiss. Is it The Vampire's Kiss?
I think it earns it.
Sure.
As opposed to Cannonball Run, which did not.
Did not earn that the at all.
This is the first one we recorded since episode 59A.
True. Yes. 59A was released first, and then 59, because I was having some hearing trouble, which is resolving itself. It turns out I did not, in fact, burst my eardrum. I just have the most impacted eustachian tubes that, I think my ENT has seen for a while. So I have to go on steroids for a week and yada, yada, yada. The point is, my hearing is getting better.
Yeah, by the end of your steroid run, you'll be looking like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV.
I did not know that this was going to be my new life path, but I'm excited. I did start running in the morning, and again, this is bothering me. I'm going to look up and see, is it The Vampire's Kiss or is it just Vampire's Kiss? It is just Vampire's Kiss. Okay. So I don't know anything about this movie except it is a meme. In fact, I'm not even sure this is a movie. I thought it was just a GIF. Yeah, that's right. I said GIF. Deal with it. Is this a real movie?
So what is the meme? Explain.
What is the meme?
So it's his face, right? He's like,
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, he's got a very strange, goofy, like...
And how do they use the meme? What's it supposed to mean? Because I've seen the picture, but I don't even know how people are using it. I just say it's just wacky.
Because isn't it like him saying "you don't say"?
Oh, okay.
And so it's just kind of mocking people. Look, man, I don't know. I'm 43 years old. Well, should I know anything about the internet? My bones are crumbling into dust as we speak.
You know more than me.
You're older than me. I should know more than you. I shouldn't know any of this stuff. I'm old. So, is this a real movie? I assume it is because we can rent it on like Apple.
Yeah.
It
seems significantly longer than a GIF.
Yes. I don't know. I believe there is a version of Morbius floating around that is just the entire film as a GIF.
Oh, it's one of those sped up things?
I don't even know if it's sped up.
Wow.
Because I have not watched it.
Yeah.
There's not much that could get me to watch Morbius, but I kind of hope that it's,
Well, it's got Matt Smith in it, so...
And yet I still don't want to see it, because I didn't watch Terminator Genesis either. It's funny, we keep kind of not talking about the movie because neither of us know anything about this movie.
Right.
We just know that somebody at some point decided that there's one reaction shot he gives in it that it was funny enough to turn into a meme. And I don't know. Like, I know this movie exists. I don't know anything about it except I think Nicolas Cage gets turned into a vampire.
I feel like I read somewhere that it was not that good, or it was
I'm sure it's not good at all. No, I don't think this is like one of his classic films. This is not a Moonstruck. This is not Leaving Las Vegas. This isn't even Honeymoon in Las Vegas.
Well, Birdie is one that most people haven't heard of, and yet
True.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Oh no, Birdie's not a bad movie.
Right.
I thought it was a very good film.
Yeah.
I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
No, so I'm not expecting this to be as good as Birdie. I think it's supposed to be a comedy, like a horror comedy. But, this is horror comedy. Like, the best horror comedies are, your American Werewolf in London, your Shaun of the Dead. I hear Fright Night's good.
I feel like we've had a couple films on this podcast that didn't know if they were comedies or not.
I think this one is supposed to be a comedy.
But I feel like that's a common 80s thing, where they just they tried to mix genres and they kind of didn't know what they were doing, or
True.
it just wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't work. But
Yeah, because sometimes you're a little too much one thing or the other. Some films can really pull it off. American Werewolf in London really does pull it off. I think this is probably going to be more on the goofy side. So when we say this is like a horror comedy, that's the funny thing about if you watch a comedy in the 80s, is it still funny? I don't know, because I get references, or I understand the culture that things are coming out of, and I don't know if a younger person is going to enjoy that. Whereas a horror movie kind of is a bit more eternal.
yeah.
So will this be more horror? Will this be more comedy? I don't know.
All right. So quick ending. Do you think he survives as a vampire? What do you think?
Right. So I think
Do you think he really is a vampire, or he's making it up?
Oh, that's a good question. Is he really turned into a vampire? I think he really does get turned into a vampire. And does he get to survive as a vampire? Does he adapt to being a vampire? That's a good question, because what's great about American Werewolf in London is he gets killed at the end.
Yeah.
Does this movie end with a stake in Nicolas Cage's heart, and do we want that at the end or not?
Right.
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to guess he survives. I don't know why.
Yeah, I feel like we would probably know this film better if it actually
Killed him at the end?
Yeah.
You might be right.
It'd be a better film.
It'd be a bolder choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it goes with the lesser choice, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't think we're walking into like a lost classic at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that this has become a meme is kind of one of the reasons I want to watch it.
Yeah.
There must be some reason this has been lurking on the internet. I want to find out what that is. So,
Well.
Shall we go watch it?
Yep.
Now I hope that compassion is gone. You've sold out your dream to the world. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead. You're dead and out of this world.
Yeah.
That has to be one of the most absolutely unhinged things I've ever seen.
Yeah. If you were writing a book report or something about this movie or something, it would just be the word unhinged just repeated over and over again.
I've never seen a performance quite like that before. Although I have to say, I guess this is kind of what people think of when they think about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Which is a little unfair because he can be an actor of nuance.
Right.
And I would say there's even some strange nuances in this film. But it's also one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't know if it's a good movie or not. But I don't think it's a bad movie. After we watch the movie, we often jump onto Wikipedia and IMDb to quick just kind of be like, did I just see what I just thought I saw, or how should I organize my thoughts, or just double check on some facts or get some tidbits of information. And I saw that the guy who wrote this also wrote After Hours, and that is not at all a surprise. You still need to see After Hours, right? Yeah, it's a good movie.
When did that come out? Was that 85?
Yeah, something like that. They're both films about yuppie scum and the New York nightlife.
Yeah.
Okay? But whereas After Hours is more how do I put this? It's more obviously a comedy, and you have at least some sympathy for Griffin Dunn's character. You have no sympathy whatsoever for Nicolas Cage in this movie.
No.
No, it's fascinating how
right
much...
from the beginning, just
Yeah.
hearing his... So there's this accent.
He's doing this accent. Jump to the end of the film where he's talking to his hallucination, giving his own backstory. If you notice some of what he's saying as he's walking down the street, at one point he says, well, I grew up in Philadelphia, but I've been in New York for 10 years. And I'm laughing to myself thinking, it's certainly not a Philadelphia accent.
I know. You can't pin that on us.
No. Please no. And, I didn't know if that line was just, was that a nod to Birdie, or was that just,
It wouldn't surprise me if he just came up with it,
Yeah. But that accent is very... You know what he sounds like in this movie? Because this is not an accent of a person.
Right.
He sounds like a Kevin McDonald character.
Right.
He sounds exactly like Kevin McDonald in
From
a
Kids
sketch
in the Hall,
from Kids
yeah.
in the Hall. Go and watch any of his, and he kind of acts like
Right.
a Kevin McDonald. I want to meet Kevin McDonald and ask him, have you watched Vampire's Kiss?
Oh, yes, I have.
That was not at all
That
a good
wasn't it,
take.
no.
But I swear to God, there's a little part of me that wants to reach out to Tavy and say, could I just ask him, have you seen this movie? And what do you think?
Yeah.
Because there's something about the way he talks through this. There's a very strange accent he has that just sounds like one of Kevin McDonald's stranger characters.
It really does.
And there's just something about the way he acts through this, which is just very strange and exaggerated and spastic. And it's a very weird performance. But I was reading, it sounds like the idea, I don't know, because I haven't read any interviews with Cage about this movie, but it sounds like the accent is supposed to be put on.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't actually have this accent. He's basically thinks he sounds more sophisticated and interesting talking this way.
Yeah, and he always brings up that he's a literary agent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that...
Like John Hodgman, by the way.
So this is if John Hodgman broke bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the idea that he thinks this makes him sound smart, and everybody around him must know he just sounds unhinged all the time. Like, even before we've met this character, he's already a terrible person.
Yeah.
The whole point of the film is that he is, your worst sort of yuppie scum living in Manhattan in the 80s. And he thinks he's been turned into a vampire. And, spoiler, he hasn't. This is entirely...
I called it.
Yeah, you were right. It was never actually a vampire. I also was wrong. He does not live to see the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He is killed in the final scene.
Yeah.
And
I was wrong too.
It's pretty great, actually. It's a well-earned death, I will say.
Yeah.
After everything he does in this movie. While, let's once again point out, is never actually a vampire. He's just losing his mind.
Yeah.
He has built this fantasy that he's been turned into a vampire. And the film lets you know. Maybe people who are smarter than me will pick up earlier in the film than I did that he's not a vampire. Early on, he thinks he's a vampire and he puts the bandage on his neck. Although it's also kind of implied that that's because he cut himself shaving.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is he a vampire or is she just feeding on him? Like, is she real or is she not real? Like, what's going on? Because, he brings in the coffee to her and there's nobody there, but like I didn't know if there was something supernatural going on. But finally we get to a scene where he thinks he is fully a vampire and he says he can't see himself in the mirror, and like we can see him.
Yeah.
And as the audience we're supposed to see him, and this is the part where we finally go, no, he's just nuts.
Although there are two scenes where he's talking to Rachel, the
Yeah.
vampire that turns him.
Yeah.
And she's not there.
Right, but I didn't know if that was simply
Yeah.
we're not seeing her. Is she there and only he can see him? So like I didn't know if there was something like supernatural going on there, but the film does clear it up way before the ending that no,
Right.
there's nothing supernatural going on. He's just nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is supposed to be like a cocaine-induced psychosis or what, but there are no vampires.
Right.
This is entirely in his head. Mm-hmm. Now, why does he think he's a vampire? He's a guy who is depressed. He goes to see a psychiatrist, it sounds like every day. And I
Well,
don't
it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. I think
see.
she says it.
I don't believe in keeping track of details. That's a you job. That's not for me.
It was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'm a big picture type of person. So he's a guy who's depressed and he is constantly going through one night stands and is going to clubs. He has no life beyond hedonistic pleasures. This is a film that really evokes a certain type of urban hedonism that I don't know, man. I mean, unless maybe you're watching Euphoria, you probably don't see a lot of these days.
So, do you think the bat was real? So, there's a scene...
No, the bat was real.
Oh, okay,
I think the bat is real because the other woman, Jackie, was there.
right.
I think the bat was real, and that's what triggered it in his head.
Of course, the actual bat was not real, but...
Well, no, that looked like a leather football
Yeah.
with some fur glued on, on a string. But I don't care that the bat doesn't look real because vampire bats in these types of movies never look real. If you go back and watch Dracula, they don't look real. I have not seen Francis Ford Coppola as Dracula in a very long time. I'll bet none of those bats look real either. I should go back and watch that. They are the same, this is Nicolas Cage. Francis Ford Coppola is his uncle. There's like a third Coppola vampire movie somewhere out there that I don't know anything about. So this is, part of a little thing that I guess that they all like to do. And why wouldn't you? Because vampire movies can be interesting. And this is a very interesting vampire movie. It's really about the sheer empty void at the center of this person who is extremely driven at his job and has no real human connection to other people. And as soon as he starts to get a connection to other people, he likes to destroy it. Early in the film, he picks up this woman, Jackie, at a bar. They try to have a one-night stand, which is when the bat comes in and flies around the room and chases her out. And she takes it as kind of a funny experience, and he finds it exhilarating. After that incident, they get together again to go to an art gallery, and he just abandons her there. And it's not really clear why, except that he's just a jerk.
Although, like you were saying, it might be because the art was crucifixes.
But see, had he been bitten yet by his imaginary vampire? Maybe not. It's a little, yeah.
Yeah.
But so he's basically a jerk.
Right.
And what is a better example of the sort of charismatic but completely self-absorbed person
the
is
sociopath.
The sociopath.
Like, yeah.
It's a vampire. It's a really perfect metaphor for a certain type of person. They just suck your blood away and take what they want from you and leave you by the wayside. I love What We Do in the Shadows, both the film and the TV show, and they have a lot of fun with that idea as like the worst kind of character trait you can have.
Yeah.
You are a user, and this film kind of takes that to its logical extreme. Yeah, it's a very weird performance, and it's a kind of an odd movie, but I do understand why it's a cult hit.
So do you think the performance takes away from the film? Like, do you think that there's like a good film in here that like he ruined, or do you think that there's a lousy film in here that he made watchable?
I think there is a probably mediocre film in here that could have been a little sharper, but without his performance, it would not have become a cult film.
Right.
I see what you're asking. Like, if somebody else was in this role, would it have been as good a movie or as interesting a movie?
Right.
And I don't think so. That doesn't mean that the script itself would somebody else have done something else with it? I don't know. Yeah, that's a hard one to answer. What do you think?
Oh, for me, I feel like this could have been a good film if Alva had more to do.
Yeah, we didn't even get into Alva.
Alva is she's a secretary at his office.
Yeah.
And he just tortures her the entire film. It's almost as if like he's saying like he wants her to punish him.
Yeah.
Like he sees her as like this because she wears a cross and stuff, and she seems very sweet, and he
tortures her because she's the opposite of him.
And she tells him she has a gun, and he keeps telling her to shoot him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the gun has blanks, and so he actually takes it from her after raping her, or possibly raping her.
Yeah, they leave it kind of vague as to how far it goes, but he assaults her at the very least. He physically and somewhat sexually assaults her. I don't know if it's full on, although later in the film he says, well, that he did rape her, so I assume that is actually what happened. And that's rough, man. And they don't ever play what she's going through for laughs. I will say that. The film, it's trying to walk a very difficult tightrope where on the one hand, there are parts of it that are very kind of funny, and his performance is unhinged and fun to watch in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But every time the Alva parts come up, it definitely is a little hard to watch.
Yeah.
His treatment of her is not unrealistic. People will think it's exaggerated, but when they have the moment where after he flips out and is chasing her around the office and chases her into the ladies' room and is going to assault her in some way and is stopped because basically he's kind of snapped out of it by other people around him. And we get a scene later where he's in a little office conference room with some of the other men at his office, and they're laughing about the whole thing and making jokes about it. And
By the way, that scene is very American Psycho.
is it really?
Yeah,
See, I need to see American Psycho after watching this.
Yeah, just a bunch of yuppie scum just laughing about, like terrible things they've done. That's very...
Well, and here's the thing. That's very true even now.
Yeah.
I mean, there is in this movie commentary on sexual harassment and even assault that is still relevant. What I like is that the film never wants you to like Peter. Mm-hmm. And actually, that's where I think Cage's performance is actually really useful, is because he's never charming.
Yeah.
He's always horrible and pretentious. Like, even when he's not unhinged, he's a terrible person. And the film never lets you forget that.
Yeah.
And the people around him encourage him. He's never facing consequences for the way he's treating Alva. That part, it's hard to watch as a woman.
So he murders someone. He bites someone. And you get the feeling if he didn't get killed at the end, he probably would have just gotten away with it somehow.
He might have. Yeah, exactly. So he spends a lot of the film torturing this poor woman who is his secretary by having her going through a task that, frankly, doesn't actually matter. They're literary agents. And this one guy wants an old contract. And it's not really an important thing at all. It's not like it was actually like relevant to the way the guy was getting paid. It was just a nostalgia thing that he wanted.
Guy even calls.
Yeah.
And we hear him on the phone saying, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. Like the guy doesn't even want it that much. But Peter is just torturing Alva with, you have to find this contract. And at this point, it's basically he's just doing it to torture her.
Yeah.
This is entirely a sadistic thing on his part.
She's really the only sympathetic character in the film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that woman Jackie that he's seen early on,
Jackie too.
She is sympathetic as well. And she's just kind of a normal person who is like, essentially, why are you treating me this way? I don't ever want to see you again. You need to have that be the case in order to justify Peter getting murdered, I guess, at the end, in the way that he is murdered. And boy, does he deserve it, though.
Yeah. Stake through the heart.
They, honest to God, they do a stake through the heart. It was like, you know what? I appreciate they just went for it. The film is just like kind of him losing his mind through the whole movie till we get to the point where, as Dennis said, he ends up going to a nightclub and forcing his way in while wearing fake vampire teeth. He buys like the cheapest, junkiest, vampire teeth, the kind you get at Halloween. Not at a Halloween store. I mean, like in your candy that somebody gave out to you. This is not like spending money at Halloween Adventure. This is spending money at the joke store. And he's running around a club wearing these stupid teeth, and he goes and assaults a woman and actually takes out the teeth to bite into her neck and kills her. Yeah. And this is after he has eaten a cockroach. Yeah. On screen, this is actually Nicolas Cage eating a real cockroach. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
3 takes.
3 takes?
I don't know if that means 3 cockroaches, but there was
I think
3
it
takes.
does. No, I think it does mean 3 cockroaches. And
it was his idea.
It was his idea.
Because he was supposed to eat a raw egg or something, and he's like, "Oh no, we're going to do this," which he immediately regretted.
Yeah, good. He should regret it. I hope he dies thinking about that cockroach. Yeah. Not because I care about cockroaches. I really don't. I squish bugs all the time, but I had to watch that scene.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like Cronenberg has a new movie out, and like I'm not excited to go see it. Not because I don't respect Cronenberg as an artist, but I'm a very, I'm a squeamish person, and so as I said, I absolutely respect Cronenberg as an artist, but I just don't have the stomach for that stuff. Damn it, I had to sit through this. I was not prepared for the cockroach scene. Ugh. I'm gonna be vomiting blood. Yeah, and then after he eats the cockroach, there's a whole thing where he's walking through the streets and he grabs a pigeon and eats it. Now we don't actually see him eat the pigeon, we just see the feathers.
Yeah.
Thank God.
He does the pigeon.
And again, I'm not against eating pigeon. I've eaten my share of birds.
Yeah.
But
Not raw though.
not raw.
No,
You don't
do that.
like salmonella, man.
And you get the feeling with Nicolas Cage in this movie, he probably wanted to eat it raw. No. Nick, we're gonna cut. We're gonna just cut and show that you ate something, but we're not gonna do that.
Please do not eat an actual raw pigeon. But what I love in this movie is his body is obviously like retching whenever he does these things. His body doesn't want to do any of this. This is purely a psychological thing he is engaging in. After he eats the pigeon, he looks horrible and he looks like he's about to throw up.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens when he goes and murders that woman and tries drinking her blood. The rest of the movie, he's like throwing up blood.
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to do that.
No.
Absolutely not. Sorry, England, do not eat black pudding. We're not supposed to consume blood.
Yeah. By the way, spoiler alert, vampires aren't real.
Well, yes. Wait.
I'm just saying, this isn't a way to live.
No, it's not a way. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No. Dude, I thought you were trying to explain to me that vampires aren't real, and I was a little worried that you thought that I thought.
No.
Okay.
Just, for the world in general,
Just so that everybody knows that we understand vampires are not real.
Yeah.
Although I think the jury is out on the so-called psychic vampire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've all met Colin Robinsons.
Yeah.
So when he kills the woman in the club, he has a confrontation with his imaginary vampire girlfriend who says that she's just disgusted by him. And I guess I'm going to take that as this is part of his own brain saying, what the hell is wrong with you? Your body is obviously rejecting what you're doing. You can't do this. So the fake vampire girlfriend broke up with him. She
broke up with him because he didn't look right.
Well, no, of course he doesn't look right.
No, I'm saying that it's like that. It's all about appearances still. It's
true,
still
yeah.
like, this kind of yuppie, like, oh, you're not doing it cool enough.
Yeah.
Is what she's saying. It's not so much that he's doing terrible things. It's more that like he's not looking right while doing it.
That's a good point. And
she takes out the teeth and stuff, and she's like, well, look at this, and throws it on.
The thing is, she's not wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he does look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, horrifying, but also really ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he does assault Alva, who eventually confesses to her brother what happened. The brother already knows that she's been having a really hard time at work, and both her brother and her mother have been like, look, you just got to be tough and deal with going into work in this office, and and she just can't. And again, this is like a strangely realistic storyline, actually.
Yeah, because even people at her office are like, oh, he's just eccentric.
Yeah.
And like they're not seeing what she's seeing. Like they're not there at like 1 a.m. and having him like berate them.
Yeah. Or when they see what they see is too normalized.
Yeah.
So eventually she does tell her brother that she was raped by him. And the brother naturally goes to confront him and goes to hunt him down. Meanwhile, this is at the same time that he is the night before had murdered the woman in the club. And so he's been wandering around the streets of Manhattan covered in blood and asking people to stab him with a plank taken from a pallet
that was just on the street.
And obviously the first thing you could see was, hey, free wood.
I know. Exactly.
You don't know how many
I'd probably
times
just take it from him. Like, I'll take that.
I know.
Maybe that guy in a suit. Get help.
Dennis,
go find the Russian doll.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We didn't even bring up his therapist.
Exactly.
Is the woman who plays Ruth on Russian Doll. So that was kind of fun seeing her in this.
It's still a therapist.
It's still a therapist.
That's
yeah.
just her job.
I kind of want her to be my therapist.
Yeah.
So he's wandering the streets, and he actually at one point starts hallucinating that he is visiting his therapist and saying to her that I don't need you anymore. I've decided I just need to find love. And she, in this hallucination, introduces him to one of her other clients and says, you people are perfect together.
Yeah, that's what saved you so much money.
Yeah,
says.
I know. I love that it's framed that way, too. So
this is what therapists should do.
yeah.
That's what Dr. Melfi did.
You set somebody up with one of your other patients. It works
Yeah.
out fine.
Exactly.
I'm not far enough in The Sopranos to have seen that scene where, the lady at the car dealership kills herself after, stalking Tony.
Man, all kinds of spoilers in this.
Yeah. Look, how long ago was season, 4, 3 of The Sopranos? I think I'm past the statute of limitations. He has this whole fantasy where essentially the therapist gives him a girlfriend and they go off together. But what's great is he's not even back to his apartment yet and he's already arguing with his imaginary girlfriend and screaming at her and throwing things around the apartment. It's like this guy can't even have an imaginary girlfriend.
Yeah.
He's so messed up. So yeah, he's even fighting with his imaginary girlfriend and crawls into his coffin, which is basically he turned his couch upside down and uses that as a coffin lid while laying on the ground. I mean, it's visually, it's very funny.
Yeah.
But it's just the tone of this movie just keeps whipsawing between distressingly realistic depictions of a narcissist torturing people and very weird comedy. It's a very dark movie. Alva's brother has hunted him down, goes into the apartment, and he throws open the so-called casket, and Peter's reaction is to grab he's still carrying the plank around, and he just grabs it, and he's like trying to like stab himself with it, and he can't because, I mean, he's a coward more than anything. So the brother just like helps him along and just pushes the sharpened plank through him and just stabs him.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. That's it.
Yeah, like the brother leaves and then you just see Rachel, the vampire, saying "Dream of me" or something like that.
Yeah. And he's dead because he was not a vampire, but he died like a vampire. You have to give him that little bit of respect, I guess. So I found interesting, I did see, I don't know if it's true, but I would be shocked if it wasn't, on IMDb said that Christian Bale was heavily influenced by this movie.
Oh yeah, it's obvious.
Oh, is it? See,
oh yeah.
I've got to watch American Psycho. I've put it off for a while just because I'm like, I don't know if I want to see people get murdered, but now I'm like, man, I watched the cockroach scene. I can watch anything. Let me go see Crimes of the Future. That's fine. Yeah, no, I really do want to see American Psycho after this.
I think you'll love it, by the way.
I probably will. I mean, everything I know about it just sounds like a brilliant film.
Yeah.
I think After Hours is great. Okay. This is by the same guy who wrote After Hours, and seeing how if those are on a continuum that ends in American Psycho, that totally sounds like my thing. I think this is a better movie than its reputation maybe has, but it's extremely uneven.
I feel like there's two movies here. Like,
Yeah.
There's the movie that this guy wanted to make.
Because you were reading on Wikipedia, and originally this was a movie about how he felt his own personal relationship was sucking the life out of him.
The person who was doing that was this Whitwer, I forget her name. Oh, Zitwer is her name.
Uh-huh.
And she's the producer of the movie, and she's kind of the one that made it get made.
Yeah, that's awkward.
They were together in Barbados or something.
Okay.
And he was depressed the whole time, and so she just left and said, like, just, give me a script and I'll get it made. Or that's how he remembers it or something. So he wrote this script about her being a vampire.
Oh, that's sweet.
And he said, I was in a toxic relationship, he says.
I would definitely want to make the movie of my boyfriend calling me a vampire ruining my life.
The way she remembered it, she wanted him to write a script about Barbados because she wanted to work in Barbados.
Man, look, that's terrible. At the same time, it's just like, well, if I could turn all of my jobs into vacations,
yeah,
I probably would.
Yeah, I would love to work on Lost.
Yeah. I don't care if I'm still angry at the ending. I got to live in Hawaii for 7 years.
Yeah. He wrote this script. She was horrified at first because she...
I wonder why!
Yeah, because she recognized herself in it. But then she was like, but it's a great script. We should make a movie out of it. And he was going to direct, and first they got Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah. Supposedly Dennis Quaid was their first choice for...
He was cast, and he was supposed to... And that's kind of how they got money to make it. And then he got cast in Inner Space, And so they switched to Nicolas Cage.
I just can't picture Dennis Quaid doing this.
Yeah.
No.
But apparently the guy and Dennis Quaid were like on the same wavelength. They were like, yes, this is the guy who should play.
Oh God, no.
And so like they were like completely in tune. And then
that movie would have been terrible.
And he dropped out because like this movie is too dark for me. You know, I'm revisiting demons I don't need to revisit.
Oh,
so
God.
he left, and then Nicolas Cage was like, "Oh, I was working with him," so he left, and then they were like scrambling, and they were gonna get Stallone. You know,
Oh,
like
no.
they offered it to like Steve Martin, and it's like
Steve
what?
Martin.
Just a very odd like mix. Like they were just scrambling for anyone, and then finally they went back to Nicolas Cage. And
I will. Okay, now is this around the same time that Stallone made Oscar? That's also a bad movie.
I don't know, Oscar.
Yeah, that's not a good movie.
Did it get any awards?
It did not live up to its name.
Oh, did you see that David Hyde Pierce was in this?
Yeah.
Was he the mime?
I don't know. It just
says
said theater guy.
But like
I don't know what theater guy means.
I know there's those mimes in front of the
right
in that one scene. I didn't know if maybe it is that.
I don't know. Yeah, David Hyde Pierce is in this, and John Michael Higgins is somewhere in
Wait,
this.
who's that?
He does like Christopher Guest movies and,
Oh, okay.
and things like that. You've seen him, trust me. You've definitely seen him.
Higgins.
No, not that Higgins.
Okay.
I'll be honest, like if I saw this on television, I mean, first of all, you're not going to see it uncut on television, I think. Right. There are a lot of swears in this one. I guess we do get nipple at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do at one point.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Jackie.
Yeah. He never is shirtless in this thing, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
And you found a relief.
I don't think you could find his character attractive at all.
No. Oh God, no. No. I'm not. I am fine with not ever seeing him. And you see like Jennifer Beals' side boob, but I think that's about it.
And you can obviously see tape on it too.
Yeah. Well, you know.
And apparently they did not get along at all.
No.
Oh, and that's the yogurt story.
Oh God, yeah. So what? Okay, so apparently Nicolas Cage and Jennifer Beals did not get along in this film, although she is supposed to be his vampire girlfriend.
Yeah.
And there are scenes of them, like essentially her biting him, and it's all very physical type stuff and erotic, or it's supposed to be erotic. But they did not like each other because he wanted Patricia Arquette as the vampire because that was his girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. So what's the deal with the hot yogurt? Because you've brought up the hot yogurt before.
He told someone to pour hot yogurt on his toes so that he was aroused during that scene. And I don't know why. I don't think that he needed to be that way, but...
No. No one needs to be that way.
This is where you need a Laurence Olivier to come in and say... Just act.
Yeah. Yes.
Just act, you weirdo.
Just be normal.
Yeah.
Just stop doing that. Just don't do that, man. Just don't. Oh.
I don't think Steve Martin would have eaten a cockroach.
No, I really don't.
I don't think any of these other actors would.
I mean, look, obviously Brando would. We've seen it, but it was a fly, but close enough. No, don't do that, man. Oh, God, I can't believe the cockroach thing. And look, I'm not against eating bugs per se. I love seafood. I eat shrimp, which are just sea bugs. Yeah. But live? No. Come on, man. Ugh. And a cockroach. It's oh, God, I'm going to have nightmares about that.
I'm sorry.
You know, I could watch any grisly murder in this movie, and I just don't need to see the cockroach scene.
Yeah.
But anyway, but having said all that, like if we still had cable, which we don't, but if this came on HBO, would I watch it? Oh yeah. Oh, I'd watch this again.
Maybe up to the cockroach scene.
Yeah.
And turn it off.
Yeah. But his performance is so strange and unhinged and spastic. And I've never seen anything quite like it. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on.
But also unpleasant. Like
it's
such a
horrible.
Jerk.
No. That's what I mean. Like he's not fun. It's not a clownish spastic. Like I don't like Jim Carrey type of spastic Ace Ventura stuff. This is physically almost on that level, but he's so unpleasant a person in a way that you're not supposed to find him fun. Like, I don't find Ace Ventura fun at all. I find Ace Ventura horrible. I hate that character. But kids enjoy that movie. I don't know why. I certainly didn't. I know you did. I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah, a little bit. You know what? His performance reminds me a little bit of the killers in Rope.
Oh.
That young know-it-all
Yeah.
above everyone.
Oh, sure.
Entitled, like, yeah.
Oh, sure, man. Oh God, what were their original names? Leopold and Loeb.
Yeah.
The original kind of psychopaths.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually not a bad pull. Rope, definitely. So that was Vampire's Kiss, starring Nicolas Cage, Maria Conchita Alonso, Jennifer Beals, Elizabeth Ashley, and Casey Lemons. With Robert Lujan as Emilio, her brother. You can find us on social media. We are Mary VS Movies on Twitter, and we are maryvsmovies@gmail.com. Please write to us with any comments, questions, complaints, or suggestions. We would love to hear from you. We are available on Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review us. Please do so. You can find us on Stitcher and Spotify and Overcast and really any of the big podcatchers, Google Play. You can go to the Libsyn site and get our RSS feed and plug it into whatever your podcatcher of choice is. Next week, hopefully, we will have a special guest when we watch Valley Girl. If not, we will put off Valley Girl until we can.
Is there another Cage thing we could do? Peggy Sue Got Married?
I saw Peggy Sue Got Married when I was a young kid. I don't know if I should put that on the list because I saw it kind of as a kid, but I would love to do that movie, but I don't know if it counts. On the other hand, I was 7, and it was more like my mom had it on and I was kind of half paying attention. I don't know. I'll put that out on Twitter and take a poll. Should I be allowed to watch that as for the podcast or not? Because I think that would be fun to cover. Like we can't do Raising Arizona because I've seen that many times.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another Nicolas Cage film that we could put in here. If not, we'll find something else to watch.
Okay.
But if we are able to lock down our guest for Valley Girl, that will be our next film. So we don't know yet. When you hear this podcast, we may know by then, we may not. So, in the future, if you come back and listen to this, you'll know. Yeah. And we won't. So then, until next time.
I have never misfiled anything. Not once. Not one time. I want to know, really, who did? It's all alphabetical. You just put it in the right file. According to alphabetical order. A,